So for the first topic, which I think perfectly embodies what I want this podcast to sort of do, which is take ridiculous things, impossible things, and talk about them in the most serious way possible. And the first topic I've chosen is, if you woke up one day and you didn't have to eat to, if you didn't have to eat to survive, would you do it? Like, would you eat out of pleasure? Basically, the 2 points I want to get into is, first of all, you personally, would you eat if you have to? Like, would the pleasure of eating be worth it to you?
I watched Steven Universe, and Amethyst is these gem people. They're literally made of light, and they like create energy, and they have no need to eat or sleep, and yet they still do it. Like, well, not they specific. Like Amethyst is this one character who's like really I don't know how to say it. Like kind of lazy. She's super messy, and she's the exact sort of person who would eat and sleep despite having no need to. So I think I would, because I do enjoy eating. I do.
The reason this topic came to me,
I wouldn't feel hungry, right? Like
no, you don't have any need or desire, and let's say for funsies that you won't gain weight. Like the food is purely what's going on in your mouth, and as we might get into, like, what's going on in your brain. But that's for in just a minute.
Okay. So,
I mean, so for most people, this sounds great. Like people love eating, like flavor. But this topic
do you get fat?
No, you don't gain. Well, in this hypothetical situation, let's say you don't gain weight. Like you have to have the other end of the steak. If you don't need to eat, eating doesn't do anything to your body. But this topic came to me when I overheard a conversation and I got involved. Guy said he didn't like eating. Like he said if he didn't have to eat to survive, he wouldn't. He doesn't. Like he says things still taste good, but that he doesn't really do it. It's like, obviously he gets some kind of physiological pleasure from it because he says he doesn't like being hungry, but like he's not the kind of person who will eat just because he wants to taste something. He can sort of eat the same things over and over again without really becoming desensitized to it, because eating isn't really as big of a pleasure to him. And so I would do it. I love eating. I love experiencing flavors. And I am lucky enough to be born with metabolism that I can handle all that eating. Would you do it? Do you like eating? Like, to the point where you would probably still eat 3 meals a day if you could afford it?
Well, I feel like it would be convenience, right? Like, if I was poor, for what I go bankrupt, that would be extremely convenient, because now I don't have to spend an extra, I don't know, $50?
That's a lot.
If you buy from the grocery store, then it's pretty efficient anyways, but like, you're eating healthy, then it's a little bit more. Whatever.
But see, there's no such thing as healthy and unhealthy food anymore. You don't need to eat to survive.
I feel like he was a little bit of a special case, actually, because I feel like a lot of people want to eat and they do enjoy eating. You would eat, I assume?
I would eat, if I could afford it. We've been talking about wants and desires. Now the question is eating more than a physiological experience? Do you psychologically need to eat? And the reason I ask this is your brain, like, and like I said, my original statement was you woke up one day and for whatever you know, so your body is used to eating roughly X amount of calories a day. It's used to the physical, mechanical motions of your mouth. Let's
do our Google search.
Let's do our first Google. Hear the clicky clack of keyboards.
Physiological.
So do you psychologically need to eat? So the question I want to ask is people who can't eat, like either because they're in comas or for whatever reason they have to be fed through the drip tube.
Are people who are being fed through a tube, are they always hungry because their brain doesn't know that they're eating something? Or is it triggered by like the very enzymes breaking down?
I'm thinking because people eat as an oral fixation and people know when they need to eat. So there's got to be a psychological component to eating.
Okay.
Do you psychologically need to eat? Oh, here we go. Central Ohio Nutrition Center.
Okay. So, people engage in eating behavior, a matter of survival normally every day. So, Okay, so in contrast to our ancestors, however, those primary task was to seek out any food that would provide energy and nutrients. Those choices have become difficult nowadays. In Western or Westernized societies, in particular, food is abundant, cheap, and available in a great variety. Okay. So the situation is different from what we were evolved to be.
Well,
Some
evolution topic for
stuff.
another day.
Our evolution assumes that we are nomads, eating, and that's why sugar and salt taste so good, is because
Our bodies were designed to like those things.
stored as much energy as possible, right?
And remember, in like older written times, these things were not as widely available as they are, and our bodies were designed to desire these things because they weren't readily available. But now we live in a society and they are, and there's nothing keeping us in check.
Oh, okay. So this is more about eating disorders. So
yeah, but we've moved on.
Okay,
this is a nice tangent.
Okay.
It's a nice tangent, but remember, in this hypothetical scenario, we don't need to eat physiologically. I think we can. I almost said we can.
Live chat. It's not super related, but it's interesting. It's a good read.
A good read. I'm looking at this. There is psychological hunger. In fact, it's a serious medical condition you can have when your psychological hunger can come with emotional needs, stress, anger, depression, or oral fixations. And so basically, psychologically, you do need to eat. So my theory is that if this ability to not have to eat were bestowed upon you on birth, I would think maybe it'd be less impactful on you. But remember, you have epigenetics to deal with. Epigenetics is the actions that your parents and your grandparents took are still fundamentally in parts of your DNA, and epigenes just turn those on and off, which is why things like habits and addictions like smoking can actually pass down through generations, just because it affects your epigenetic data. So your epigenetics still say you need to eat, but I think it would be less stressful on your body if you never had to eat throughout your entire life, or as opposed to you woke up one day in your 20s or 30s and you've been eating your whole life and suddenly you don't have to, so now your brain is basically addicted to eating.
Yeah,
eating is as much as a physical addiction as it is a psychological addiction. So that's that. I don't.
That is kind of weird to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, it doesn't have unhealthy side effects beyond controlled under or overeating.
So in this hypothetical world, what foods would you consume? Like there are no longer any negative health benefits.
I would only eat meat, cheese, and bread.
Meat, cheese, and bread. So that like simple flavors.
Hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue, ribs.
Breads.